All right, so this is an image that is ready to go and be laser cut. So it is a vector image. And so no matter how much I zoom in or zoom out or expand it or contract it, it stays, you know, at the same resolution because that's what vectors do. It is also different colors, and it's different colors for a really good reason. The blue is for engraving. So the blue lines, the laser is going to follow those, but at a lower power and a higher speed. And it's not going to burn all the way through. It'll just sort of burn a line just into the surface. Whereas the red, the laser power is going to increase and it'll slow down, so it spends more time burning the material, and it's going to cut right through. Now, because these are vectors, the laser can follow them as paths. Probably should have mentioned that. All right, this video is going to show you how to create your own vector images for the laser, and it's going to be sort of the most difficult way to do it, but probably the best, or at least the technique that's going to get you the best results. So let me close this and I'll take you through it from the start. So we're going to open Inkscape, and that's going to take a little while. Or maybe not. It's going to open with this window. Now, if you don't want to see this window every time you open Inkscape, you can uncheck this box, but I'm going to leave it because it makes making videos easier. And I'm going to go new document. Right. So, now that we're in Inkscape, I'd like to just show you how to navigate around. So, if you click the center wheel on your mouse, you can move the screen around. And if you move it really fast, then you can sort of leave graphical sort of artifacts everywhere. If you want to zoom in and out, you hold down Control on your keyboard and you zoom in and you zoom out. Right, and you can try both of those things. Cool. Now, what we need is we need to get our image in here. Now, you have hopefully designed something that you are going to trace over in Inkscape. I've got an example here, and so I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Import, and I'm going to click this dog. I can leave all of these options here as they are, and what I can also do is I can make my dog a little bit bigger. Whoop. Now, we want to maintain the aspect ratio, right? We don't want our dog to look like this. That would be bad. So let's go Edit, Undo, and let's just lock this little option here. That should mean, yep, that we can stretch out our dog as we like it. Cool, there's our dog. Now the other thing is that we don't need this page here behind the dog. That's not doing us any favors. So let's go File, Document Properties, click on that. It's going to open this box on the side, and we're going to come down here to where it says Border, and we're going to untick Show Page Border. Once we've done that, we can close this. Now, there's a couple more options that we need to open up. And the first one is this guy here. So you can click on that, or you can hold down Shift, Control, and F all at the same time. I'm just going to click on it, and it's going to open this little panel for me. Now I'm going to click on my dog, and what I'm going to do is come down here to where it says Opacity, and I'm just going to turn the opacity down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another menu. That's going to be this one here, which is View Layers. So that's Shift, Control, L if you want to push the buttons instead. Now, these buttons that you've just pressed, they might be along the top. You know, you might have to hunt them down. What you're looking for is little paintbrushy icon, little sort of layers icon. It's layers. It's like an onion. Right. Now, once we're in layers, we're going to click the plus sign. We can just call it layer 2. Just go Add. And we are ready to start. Now, I'm going to zoom into this dog a little bit. Now, the aim of the game here is to trace the outline of this dog so that we end up with a really nice, clean line drawing that our laser can follow and just go zip, 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 and engrave an image of this dog for us. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use a tool over on our left, which is called the Draw Bezier Curves and Straight Lines tool. Or you can hit B on your keyboard. So I'm going to click on that. Now, this tool took me a little while to learn to use this tool without, sort of making a bunch of mistakes. So it'll take you a little while as well, I think. Don't get discouraged. the way that this tool works is it lets you draw straight lines. Click, 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 double click to finish, and you can draw some straight lines. Now, I don't want those straight lines there, so I am going to go Edit, Undo, or I'm just going to hold down Control on my keyboard and press Z, and that's going to undo things. Right, the other thing this tool lets you do is it lets you draw curves, but the way you draw curves is a bit different. So you click once, and then you drag your mouse out, and then you click and hold. And once you've held, you get this little blue bar. And depending on how far you twist it, how long you make that bar and how much you twist it, you get a different curve. So if I'm trying to do the tongue, I might do that. And then once I'm happy, I let go of my mouse, and then I press Enter on my keyboard. And that gives me my curve. Now, if I made a mistake with that, or it didn't work, or whatever, just hold down Control, press Z. That's the undo key. You can get rid of it and get right back to where you were. I'm going to redo it, though, because that wasn't a terrible sort of curve. And from here, what you need to do is you just need to sort of trace your image. So click and hold, and you can sort of play around with that line, let it go, hit enter. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect in terms of matching your image, right? You're trying to generate a good vector image. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be absolutely the same as the image you've drawn or the image that you've pulled down off the net. Right, so I'll do sort of one more. I might do this sort of eye shape, and you might want to zoom in. So remember, hold down Control, roll your scroll wheel around. So click and hold, drag it around until you get a curve you like, and then hit enter. Click. Oh, and that time I forgot to click and hold. So that's all right. Just hold Control, Z, push, back to where I need to be. All right, I'm going to trace the rest of this dog, and once I finish tracing this dog, we're going to come back and I'll show you the next bit. Now, you take this bit of the video, pause it here, and go and trace your image. All right, so I've traced the dog's face, and I'm happy enough with that. No, you know what, that's a lie. I would do heaps more if this was going to be my piece of work, because I'll show you what it looks like. When I go up here to layer 1 and I turn that off, he does look a little bit terrifying. So I would go through and I would do a lot more work. Now, there's lots of different tools you can use. You don't just have to do the drawing one. There are circle tools and things like that. So you can do stuff like come in here and try and give him some eyes. All right, you can give him some nostrils, all sorts of different things. If this was going to be my lamp project, I would probably produce, maybe one or two of these images. 2 or 3 of these images with the tongue in different positions, because that'll give you the impression in the finished project that the tongue is like going out and coming back in. But before we do that, we need to get this ready to laser. And you'll notice that it's black at the moment. So that's the first thing that we're going to fix. So let's drag a line around this whole thing. And we're going to come up here to fill and stroke. And we're going to press stroke paint. And we're going to take this slider, which is the blue one, and we're going to ramp that right up as far as it'll go. So that is now blue. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a border so that we can cut something, so that we can cut that out. Because we've got the engraved lines in there, now we need the cut lines. So I'm just going to draw this on the side. And I can change the size. So in this case, it's going to be 80 by 100. Press enter. There we go. And this is going to be the cut. So I'm going to turn the blue right down, turn the red right up. There we go. All right, awesome. So now what we need to do is we need to move the dog into this thing. Now, one thing we should probably do before that is we can select all these lines individually and we can move them. And that's going to be a bad time. So let's select all of our dog's head and let's go object and group. And now we can only select the dog as one thing. So that's handy. The other thing we might need to do is we might need to shrink this dog a little bit. So remember that if we try and just grab it, it'll get all weird. Control Z. So hit the lock and then we can resize it while preserving its aspect ratio. But there's still one more problem, and that is if we move the dog's head, into our cut square, the dog's head disappears. And that's no good. That's not going to work for us. The reason that's happening is because we drew the dog and then I drew the square, right? And so Inkscape pretty rightly assumes the dog is below the square, but really we'd like the dog above the square. So we can fix that really easily. We're going to select the square and we're going to come up here to these options and we're going to click this one here. So lower selection to bottom. Click that. Grab the dog. Click this, raise selection to the top. And now if you move the dog, if I can do that, when we move the dog, we end up with the dog on top. Now I might shrink the dog down just a little bit. And there we go. Now remember, if this were my work, I would do more to this dog because he's a creature of nightmares at the moment. And I expect your work, if you want it to look like a nightmare, that's fine, but it needs to look like an intentional nightmare, not just an accidental nightmare, right? So what would you do from here? Well, from here, you would do another image, or even 3 if you want to do 3. And you would do that just in the same way we got to this stage. You would go, import, you'd stick your image in there. Let's pretend we got another dog. Right, pretend this dog photo was different. Right, and we would work off that just to create another version of this. So another version of engrave, another version of cut, so that we could do that. We would stack those all nice and neatly next to one another so that when it gets cut out, it doesn't waste material. And then we would save it. So we'd go File, Save As, and you would give that a sensible name. And the name that you would give that would be your name, and then what it is. So if that's what it is, animated acrylic lamp. And then what material. Now for this, we're going to go with clear acrylic. All right, you would hit save on that. I might just save that. All right, save it somewhere logical. You submit that. That goes into the laser. That's it. I think that's it. Right. There's definitely, a bit of a knack to doing this. It's one of those things that will improve with practice. By the time you've done 1 or 2, you should be pretty good at, tracing around something. And have a look online. There's people who do amazing vector artworks. Specifically, I think there's a bloke called Nick's Logos or Logos by Nick or something. He uses Inkscape and his work is just phenomenal. So if you're looking for some inspiration, check him out. Good luck.